Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tuesday Night Edits. I think we're on to episode 8. I'm Andy Gray, UK-based landscape photographer that specialises in the intentional camera movement art. So yeah, if you ever see me out and about, I'll be the one flinging my arms around with a camera on the end of it whilst everybody else is standing with a tripod. So just to let you know that anybody watching live, the chat room is open. Do chat away amongst yourselves and also to me if you've got any questions. Bung them in there. If I'm coming through loud and clear, do let me know just so I can ensure everything's working fine this side. If you haven't seen my channel this week, I uploaded a vlog on Saturday or Sunday. A new one from Dodo Stone Circle. A little wander up there, which I edited an image from on Tuesday Night Edits a couple of weeks back. So that ended up on the vlog, and the vlog finally got all edited together and went live on Sunday. So that's the state of play at the minute. Tonight's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm saying they're going to be a little bit different. As long as we power through the initial part, I'll do a quick edit of an image towards the end of the episode. Basically today I had a day trip out with a load of oldies from the village old folks home. I sponged a lift down to Beamish Museum, which is an outdoor museum, kind of a Northern England area. There's it's a huge area. There's like a Georgian area, an Edwardian section, like a small mock-up town with a few shops and a green, and there's like a mock pit village and a 1940s farm, a Georgian farm, and there's loads of other construction going on at the minute as well. There's a 1950s town on its way. They're just doing the groundwork for that at the minute. There's a Georgian coach house being built. So there's a lot of investment going on there, and it's picking up, quite. I mean, it's always been a fairly big and popular. If you couldn't call it a museum, it's a big wide open area with lots of stuff in it. But certainly grown since I was last there, when I was just a wee laddie. So looking good, Anders. Thank you very much for letting us know that we're here and coming through fine. So what I've done today is I was intending to do a vlog whilst I was there. It hasn't happened because I had to push my mother around in a wheelchair for the entire day. So I didn't really get into the positions I wanted to get into because of rough ground and also not leaving her too long, getting bored or waiting for me to stop wiggling my camera around. So I didn't vlog because half the time I was out of breath from pushing the wheelchair around. And it was incredibly busy with lots of school kids around and stuff like that. So I didn't really particularly want to be talking to myself into a tiny little action cam in front of all that many people. And it also screwed up a few images that I had in mind, because one part was there's this Georgian farmhouse which I really wanted to make images from the garden looking up towards this grandiose house, and just as we got there was like 30 school kids came out and sat and had their dinner right smack in front of the front door of it, so I didn't even get the camera out. So one of the images I was intended to get, I didn't get. But that's what happens when you're out in public and you've got to work around other people as well. So we had a really nice day. The weather was quite nice, quite bright at times, which makes ICM quite difficult. I didn't get, the length of, the shutter speed. I wasn't getting, even with a 6-stop filter on, I wasn't getting the length of exposure that I would have liked. It was just really quite bright. We didn't get there till 11 o'clock in the morning, and came away, around about 3. So those 4 hours we were there, it was pretty much the brightest that you could get during the day. But I shot something like, was it 359 frames? So we're gonna blast through those, pick out the ones I'll keep to potentially work on in the future, and as we go through each one, I'll go through various setups. I'll try to explain what I was thinking at the time, and you can see what actually comes out of the camera when I'm initially making these images, and basically, what I've got to work with when I start off, before I start tweaking and playing around in processing. So I haven't had a look through these yet, apart from on the back of the camera on the bus on the way back. I know there's a few in there that may well work, and there's probably quite a lot that are a bit or pretty much failures. Or there might be quite a few that I'll just aren't going to be used at all, and they'll just get chucked out. So before I bore everybody to yakking away, I think we'll just crack on with going through these images. Like I say, I'll try to explain where things were, what I was thinking as we go through. So and some of these images are just a shot taken to establish whether the exposure I had at the time was right or not, and this first one here was just whatever settings I had at the time, clicked it, too dark, so you adjust from there. Because of the light and how I move the camera, I was conscious that I would have to do small movement for some images. I would have to do small movements to achieve a painterly look for when we blend together, rather than big wishy-washy movements that would, I would say, give more of a watercolor feel, because just the light was too bright, and when you're moving these things, they are, every time you move the image and pause even a slight amount, you will end up getting a line. So it's very intuitive how you move, and you've just got to work on it yourselves. Find movement patterns that work for you. So yeah, excuse my phone. So yeah, I'm just gonna rattle through a few of these. I'm gonna give the ones I pick out a 1-star rating, and then once I've been through them all, then all I have to do is select 1 star, and all it does is show me those. And at the moment, I won't delete anything until a long time in the future, because I have seen myself go back 3 years later and use data which I've captured beforehand. So like this one's quite a nice, reasonably detailed. There is a little bit of movement. It isn't sharp by any means, but it's got the kind of detail which you can use as use for a bit of a base image to then combine with a slightly more, with an image that's slightly got more movement in it, to retain a bit of detail as say a background layer. So I'm going to give that one 1 star. And I'm not going to talk about each capture like this, because we've got 359. We'd be here all day. So I will rattle through a lot of these and just star them or whatever. But this church you see here was reconstructed a couple of years ago. I think it was originally in near Middlesbrough. It was taken down stone by stone, transported to the museum and rebuilt on site. The numbers are, the way the stonemasons have worked, the numbers are still painted on each stone, so they could, identify where they came from and then put them back in the right place. It's a bit marvelous to see that they've done it. Like I say, they've got the foundations going in for a coach house development just across from here, which should be fantastic in a couple of years' time when it's all finished. I do go back and forth when I'm scrolling through these just to see how the data looks. Like I say, I was very much struggling with because it was so light. I think I had to bring the f-stop quite low, like f11, which now creates problems like dust spots. I've got a hereditary one here. It's been there for probably 3 years, but can't shift it. And what I'm looking for is just images with just enough movement to make it almost like a paintbrush feel. Probably both of them and that one. Skip some of these. I did work the scene as well, just moving around. I like the gateway there into the churchyard, but I was also trying to frame it. I didn't want to go for the too obvious, because it would probably work in a normal landscape image, would be to centre the tower of the church within the, I'm pointing at the bloody screen, you can't see, centre this tower in between the gate pillars and under here. To me it's a bit cliche. I was more concerned about the overall image. I'm not sure if this data is looking too good, to be honest. These are when I get a really blurry one like this. This is the kind of stuff that I like. So I must have been really quite violent with my movement on this one. Like I say, you can pick out images with a bit of detail, then you can combine with that later one. Yeah, so I think we'll do that one, then it'll be combined with something like this, just to give a hint of detail. You don't have to, you can mask in with a small low opacity just to give that hint of windows or strengthen the outline of the tower, something. There's lots of twisting as I moved as well on these. I was obviously struggling a lot. The other problem was, because it was quite bright, I could barely see the back of the camera to make out what I was getting. So to me it just looked like a bright patch and a dark patch, and I had to make a judgment on that, on whether it was on whether what I was getting was any good or not. Yeah, I'm skipping through a lot of these. There's not a lot. That one's nice. There's not a great amount to play with. That's another very loose one, which probably will go together nicely with the previous one. Oh, that's a nice one. You got detail of the gateway and the steps up, and just the hint of the tower, and then obviously it just falls away. So yeah, that one will be very useful, I would say. A lot of these type ones there'll be that much detail in here, because as I've clicked the shutter, I've maybe just held it there just too long. I've had where really I should maybe be already in with it being so bright and a shutter speed. I should be moving basically as I'm clicking the shutter, because I think most of these will be shot at maybe it's half a second or just under half a second, just under half a second. Yeah, 0.4 seconds. F11, so I'm going to have some dust spots to clean up. You know, these kind of shots are like, I'm not necessarily thinking of like a 2x3 landscape image. I'm probably already thinking about, you know, this could work as a square. Straight off the top of my head here. So I did stall that one. Yeah, I'll stall that one as well. Maybe there's a bit too much movement here. Give that one a yes. Could be useful. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's got a bit more. I think it's been just enough to capture data onto the sensor, and then lots of movement up, so it's lightened it. Let's keep that one. That's gone a bit far. Some of them end up being quite similar, so it's a toss-up whether I keep them or not. Very abstract, that one. And I'm not sure this angle's working. So that church, I'd already been up to the main Georgian house and failed on getting the shot of the farmhouse because of the kids eating their lunch on the. So pegged it as quick as you can with an elderly mother in the wheelchair. Pegged it down to the church to attempt to get shots further up. There's a small line of railway with this steam engine, which is pretty much all it is. It's just an engine. Probably not far off the Stephenson's rocket, you know, one of the first trains, or the first train. I'm not really up to date on my trains. And as you know, like as a reward to myself for pushing my mother around this entire huge outdoor museum, rewarding myself with some wine tonight. So I may get very chatty by the end. So hope you're enjoying a glass of wine this evening as well. So trains wise, on the back of the camera these were looking alright. Just going to rolling back and forward with a few of these. These ones are pretty much, you'll just get a bunch of them and just layer them all together, probably with lighting mode, and then all the lighting areas will be prominent, and it gives you like almost an oil paint kind of, or an acrylic paint, or that type of paint effect, and then you can do stuff with it after. So some of these look, you know, there's enough detail there. I'm gonna pick all these. Obviously thought it was too dark beforehand and brightened it right up. That one looks okay. So again, some of these you want a wishy-washy one, mixed in with some more detailed ones where I've only moved the camera slightly. Changed angles. Pick a bit of this one for a bit of clarity and a bit of definition. This one I'm really only picking this because I maybe used the top of this chimney or stack or vent or whatever you would call it. God, me and engineering don't work. Just purely for that, and obviously you can see how these people have moved in the frame. Not very nice, but it's, you know, in this image I can see I can use this area here, you know, to layer in another, like over the top of other captures, depending on what these others are like. Well, that one's pretty similar and quite nice. So pick that one as well. I didn't pick that one before. Oh, these are quite decent. And again, just thinking about the chimney. Obviously, the way it's moved, we've lost the engine from underneath from the chimney, but it's just the way sometimes the vagaries of camera movement. Here we go. We've got some detail, so pick these to retain that detail. Bit of a wishy-washy one, but so you can almost make this woodland behind, you've almost got a ready-made watercolour feel. So pick that. And pick this one for that even more extravagant wishy-washy feel. That one's maybe gone a bit far, but that one's good again. These aren't too bad, apart from this one, that's rubbish. Yeah, we'll pick it just to be sure. Pick that one. Yeah, that one's looking a bit confusing. We'll skip that one. When I was taking it, I wasn't that happy with the image of the church, so I did take a few from where that train was. As you can see, they're building another building here, or reconstructing a building from there. Quilter's Cottage, I think it is. I think that'll be open in the next few weeks, so we just missed out on seeing that one. And also, it's obviously everybody in the fluorescent jackets now getting in my shot, but I'm sure if need be, the old clone tool can come out and get rid of them. So really, I was just thinking about landscape here. You'll know that I am, I wouldn't say obsessed, but do think about oldie worldy landscapes. You had some like old timber fencing along here. Along here, you've got the church. You've got leading up to the farmhouse that was up here, which is obviously out of view because of the trees. But you know, it's quite a quaint little landscape, based on in the Georgian time, so the 1820s. And pick that for some more detail in this fence here. That one's a bit too wishy-washy. It's probably got a bit too much detail, that one. But I think we'll pick it just to maybe get the outline of the church. Am I skipping right? Rubbish. Pick that one. And that one. These are probably people here, but it's got a nice effect, as if it could be flowers or, you know, something floral. So did I pick that? No, I didn't pick that one. Too much movement. Right, back to the tree in the yard. Nothing's really striking me yet with these. Maybe it's that one. No, and then I moved. Well, I can't just have one, I better have another one to blend it with. And that one. I think one of the problems here is the apex of the roof of this shed, which was trying to be the main focal point, is pretty much right on the skyline of the trees behind it. And anything that doesn't protrude and is kind of within the landscape is usually quite hard to capture with ICM. Well, I find it is anyway. Yeah, you can see from here how the top of the roof is only just pretty much in line with the trees. Whereas usually I like to work with almost silhouettes to use as movement. I was trying to think of composition here, you know, the buckets of the train, the car, you know, buckets, train, carriage, whatever the trailers, whatever you want to call them. You know, trying to sort of kind of leading into the sheds, but I'm not convinced these are going to be any good. So I think this, yeah, I think that area was a failure. So then we moved up into the 1900s town, which will be Edwardian, I suppose. So a bit of a street, tram lines, shops, garage, bank, town hall, sweet shop over here somewhere, row of houses behind us, you know, all the tram lines and the cables and everything in the sky, which obviously you can't quite see because I was exposing for the street. And obviously these are much cleaner lines because they're more modern building than the 1800s. Well, I mean the church would have been 1400s, but based in an 1800s landscape. This is a town in the 1900s, early 1900s. So obviously things are brick built or sharp stone. So there's them sharper edges, which do mean you get more jaggedy lines. So these are quite sharp. I'm not sure what we're going to get from here, to be honest. Sometimes I like it when, if you notice this building here, on the previous shot, it's probably, you know, that's probably its full width. Sometimes when you move the camera, it always narrows it because you've moved it to one side. So this has now narrowed that building. Sometimes that can work quite nicely, especially if you say using a darken blend mode or a lighten blend mode. You know, when you blend a few together, and then it, you know, it abstracts buildings. You know, something that should be 10 meters wide and straight. If you layer on one that's just slightly off center or twisted a bit, then you can get an interesting shape of a building. So I think I'm going to keep that one. See what else we've got. So I like that one because of it's looser, a bit more wishy-washy, as I say. And that one. They're the kind of ones you can build up with, say, a soft light or multiply, and you just, you know, build up that contrast, intensity. Like that one. Quite like that one, just purely on the roof line there. You know, you can use that to accentuate something. Not sure what yet, but something. Yeah, keep that one. It's a bit looser. So you can see, you know, I was standing over there. Now come this end, looking down the rest of the street. There's houses down here and a park up around the corner of here. It's a bit of a sharper look, so you can see. Obviously, you got the tram lines above the street, which I'm sure if I shot normal photography, that would give, you know, an interesting feature. But in my style, they were just obliterated by the sky. Quite like the movement there. And that one. Weird. I think these two, that one and that one. That one's probably, see these, you've got too many jaggedy lines. It's almost I've got the impression and then moved it a touch and then moved it a touch again. But it's just a bit too robotic, it doesn't flow. So we can forget about that one. Skip some of these. Maybe keep that one. Keep that one. Yeah, that one's better than the next one. Like that one. I mean, a lot of these I'll probably never see the light of day again because I'll maybe process 5 or 6 from the entire day, and then whatever I haven't used, I'll not use on until I'm bored one time when I haven't edited, I haven't been out to shoot anything in 3 months, and I need something to look at. That's when I'll go back and look at stuff at data I haven't used. So that's why I don't throw anything away straight away. You know, it's always a couple of years later, if at all. I think the last clean out I had was maybe 3 years ago. And even then, that was only a light clean out. Now buses going around because it's such a large area. You know, for your less mobile or whatever, or people that don't want to walk too much. There's buses and trams going around all the time. So it's nice to have a tram ride. I'm going to keep them just for that blast of colour. Everybody alright in the chat? Do say hello if you're there or watching and not said hello in the chat yet. Pick that one. Got any questions? Just let us know. Pick that one. And this you'll probably get from this is how many images I actually take from the same location. You know, your traditional landscapers or your traditionalists. You know, you'll go to a location, find your composition, sit and wait on the light or whatever. You know, and take your one shot and then pack up and go home. You know, if you watch Thomas Heaton, if you see his channel and all his videos, you know, quite often the entire video is about taking one image. He probably takes a lot off camera that you don't see, but the story built around one image. And it's, you know, that's great. But you know, you can probably see from here that from any location I'm taking maybe 30 images, with all, you know, the variations of movement to see what I get. So I do come away with a lot of data. So, you know, I'd filled one card, you know, before we'd got more than halfway around the site. These aren't quite working. That one. I like some of this because you get the people on the street just blurred enough. From here, you'll see one of the problems about ICM photography in towns or cities or after a certain time of day is that you get lights. To be honest, I'm not sure if I've shot ICM actually in a. I have in a city. Yeah, sorry, I've shot in Newcastle. But certainly not at the time of day when the lights or street lights are on or whatever. But that's one of the problems that I don't particularly like is the fact once there's lights on, then you get spots like this where the light or even a reflection can throw a mark all over your image. Well, I wouldn't say ruining it, but you've got to then deal with it and how you embrace it. I suppose one way you could do it would be to use the darken blend mode and have something that's slightly further off. Then it might knock it out completely, but it may affect the rest of the image in an adverse way. So that's probably why I stick to fields and nature and well away from towns and cities. It's all small castle ruins or empty beaches or old buildings, that kind of thing. So let's carry on. These aren't really working. Trams were obviously going around. Some of these, like these were just panning shots as they went. I didn't set the camera at a specific shutter speed. I just what I was shooting before. I was like, oh, here's a tram coming. To be honest, I don't think I even focused on it. I just had to point and shoot at it, and just tracked it as it came around. So quite like that. Quite like I didn't like it when I was going through them on the back of the camera on the way back. I did like some of these. Thought they worked quite well. What was that one? These are just a bit too jittery. That's really all down to how bright the day it was. You haven't got the chance to get a smooth capture. And then the trams off again. Quite like these, so I'll pick these. I may not do anything with these, although I just thought they were quite interesting shots as I pan through them. They'll be the kind of shot that just sits on my hard drive for a while. Obviously abandoned that part of the town and down to this is a rebuilt. I suppose it'll be a rebuilt train station, all decked out in I suppose like Edwardian time type of thing. The problem here was that because of you couldn't really get to where I wanted to be with a wheelchair, so therefore I had to leave mother way over here, something like over the back of here somewhere, come in over the bridge and away down the back, and then couldn't get across the tracks to get a decent look over to like the waiting rooms and things like that. So I just had to stand as close to the edge as I could for just a couple of minutes before to go back to make sure she hadn't wheeled off anywhere. These aren't looking as good as what I was hoping they would have looked. Disappointing. I think these are going to have to just be that more detailed kind of effect that I sometimes do. You can see how desperate I was getting by how much movement I was doing. Yeah, it's certainly just not working. maybe use that one. That one. That one. I may never edit them, but I've picked them. And then we went up to the 1940s farm, which, if anybody knows me, I grew up on a farm, so walking around this was pretty much like a busman's holiday. And a lot of the stuff that was lying around, like old machinery, it was lying around pretty much like it used to lie around on the farm we used to live on. And the actual where I was making these images from was just a terrible location to be trying to make images from. And then I was getting told that we were going to be late for the bus, so I had to rush around. If you don't know this is what they call a gin gang, which would have been machinery in here to drive something that would grind corn for like within this building there was a granary area. So that's all very technical farmery type of stuff. And I know on the farm we used to live on, there used to be a gin gang there, but was levelled many years ago and replaced with an old tractor engine which strapped things up and ran all that kind of thing. So these days, if you see Stead conversions and things like that, then generally this is like somebody's living room. For those that for the ones that survived up to this point. It was quite interesting, but like I say, it's almost like a home away from home. Quite like the carts just sitting here. I thought this was maybe one part of the museum that could have done with a bit more thought or a bit more work. And this, the silly thing is that it's based on a 1940s farm because they were pushing, the war theme and the rationing theme to educate the kids about that. But basically, all them buildings would have been probably built in the 1850s. When the land clearances was all around. So it wasn't very 1940s, apart from, that hadn't really been touched since the 1940s. So I picked up a few out of here, but they're not going to be great images really. And this was just purely trying to get back to the bus. We missed out. There's a pit village area as well, which is this looking over. I just had to skip past it because we didn't have time. Not that I'm that interested in pit villages, but so I was just trying to get a view over the village as a whole. And I don't think it looks like it's worked. Things you can maybe mix it with a looser shot. These two more detailed ones. Mix it with a shot like that, and it might end up looking painterly or something. Oh, we're doing a time 44 minutes. Right. Ooh. You can blend it with something like that, so it looks like it's sitting in more of a valley. So we'll pick those. Maybe it's that one. But yeah, I mean, these are just the equivalent of snapshots from a distance. Obviously, nothing was protruding above the landscape, so there was no shapes to work with. It was just, blocks of buildings within the landscape. So hard to get any definition from, and that's a lot. So that's all the images I shot today. So you've you've seen what I usually end up with. I didn't mean to do that. Why? I was going to my Lightroom screwed up this week sometime where it reverted to a stage where it looked like I'd never used it before, so everything had gone. Like, catalogues were, you go up to file, go to your latest catalogue, and it wasn't there, and I had a massive panic on. So the layout's still a bit funny and a bit screwed up, so I don't want to do that yet. So yeah, that's that's all the images that I end up with. So you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. Well, if you can call any of them good. So out of all that, out of 359, I've picked 96. Chances are I'll probably edit maybe 7. Create 7 images, of which possibly 2 might make it online, and maybe even, well, it depends on what comes out, but maybe even none make it to the point of ever being printed or seen on anything more than Instagram or Twitter. So that's the kind of ratios we're playing with when we're making these images. So if we have a quick squint through some of these and do a quick edit, because I don't want to keep you here too long. Probably go for something easy. Try the church first, and I think we'll skip them shots. I'm going to rate these. The ones I'm going to use, I'm going to rate 2, and then I can just select them all together. 2, 2, 2. So then 4, I think it was. Them. So we're going to use these as a base. Initial work. Get rid of the dust spots. Not really sure. No, that's because I haven't increased. So you see, everything's reset itself since Lightroom went all haywire. Yeah, it's got rid of the feather inside as well. Yeah, all my settings seems to have been reverted back to basics, which is damn frustrating. Which is alright, because I know how to get things back, but even so, do a rough cleanup of these ones. Yeah, I did already do that one. Alright. Okay. Come on, computer, pick up the pace. As usual, it struggles when I'm streaming as well. But I'm going to use it, just one of my default plugins, one of my presets that I use quite a lot. A bit of contrast to that. Lens correction. Wipe out that vignette. Check the detail. There's noise reduction's down. That's fine. I'm going to scale this colour back a touch. I think that's all in. Wall. It's not in the saturation, it's in the down. That's down. No, maybe it's not. I think maybe split toning is up. Yeah, I thought that's highlights. So I want to warm them highlights up a touch. I don't want to do it too over the top, you know, too white on this area here. That's maybe just something I'm going to have to do in the next phase. So we'll just sync all those together. See, this is everything's been just include everything. Spot removal crop. Sync it all. Got a slurp of wine. Open these as layers in Photoshop. One of the things I did do this week is I bought the new the new version of Nik Collection. It's identical, well, almost identically the same as the previous one. I've just bought it because I wanted to know that it was going to work for a little bit longer, because I do use it for so much. I'm not sure if it's a slightly more resource hungry or whether, I don't know, my computer's as slow as the hills, but there's maybe just slight performance degradation on my machine anyway, because it's slow, and it just needs a bit of a, oh, say it needs a bit of a tweak. I'm just going to shut all them down, yeah. So I think I've only edited 2 images with it, and it's just exactly the same. But like I said, you know, like if you watched Alistair, it'll be, as soon as it's over, it'll be available probably within 10 minutes by the time it's processed itself, so you can rewatch the entire episode again, start to finish. So you haven't missed a thing. Alan, nice to see you. Busy trying to get weighed down in suitcase. Well, you will buy these big fancy cameras. You know, you can just take your phone instead. I'm sure you were saying the other day that you probably weren't gonna, you were just using it as a scout mission. So just take pictures on your phone. I'm sure you wouldn't regret that at all. So where was a Nik Collection? Yeah, so if you saw on my channel the other day that I had like a small, you know, a small video on just saying that the new Nik Collection's here, and the amount of folk that said in the comments like, yeah, but it's just the bloody same, and why waste your money and all this kind of stuff. Like, well, yeah, if it works for you at the minute, you know, if the Google version works for you, it isn't broken, then yeah, there's no reason to buy it yet. You know, there's nothing new there. But if you were an avid user beforehand where it broke on you, then it'll be worth buying again, unless you've moved on and don't need it anymore. I bought it because I make every image I make with it, so it was a no-brainer for me. And I think it was $39.99 UK pounds, and it changed, you know, euros. It's maybe it's 49 euros and 49 US dollars. You know, whatever it is. You know, obviously, as soon as it knows where you're from, it knows. You know, changes the price. I think the conversion rate I worked out was $49 was £37, and then it was selling it for 39. But I think the temporary deal at the minute expires at the end of June, and it goes up 20 quid, so it'll be 59 quid rather than 39. So me being tight and skinned most of the time, I've just laid out the 39 quid without a problem. It means that generally it'll work for, you know, it's now supposedly compatible with the new version of the Creative Cloud Suite and new operating systems. So at least it should be future proof for a bit longer, whereas the Google version was completely unsupported. And the next macOS update may break it completely. The next Windows upgrade could break it all completely. The next Photoshop upgrade could break it completely. So I wanted to take that chance out of it. So therefore I've laid out my 39 quid without a problem. Quite happy. If it works for you without that, and if you're not that concerned about it, then don't pay for it. Simple as. But yeah, I mean, my comment is it's just exactly the same. Yeah, I mean, you're only away for a fortnight, Alan. I'm sure she doesn't need more than 3 pairs of kecks and well, 2 t-shirts maybe. These women folk and their several hundred pairs of shoes, and everything's got to be clean every day. You can probably tell I'm not married. I'm very happy for that. So let's crack on with trying to make an image. Just go through the blend modes to see how crackers this could end up. Just scrolling through them, waiting for the computer to catch up. Obviously I can move these around, move each layer around to see how it interacts. Yeah, I think there's dark and a decent one. Multiply, I think. Multiply and then reduce the opacity of certain layers. Just switch yeah, I can probably take that layer out completely. This one, yeah, that's I was going to call it the offending article, but it's not offending, it's quite nice. It's just in the wrong bloody place. So move that along so that tower aligns better. This one below, I think that probably just needs a slight tweaked placement. I can see the shape there now. Yeah, couldn't quite make it out before. I'll bring that roughly up there. It's this base one. Yeah, base one was that left hand edge of the tower there. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity a touch on some of these. Yeah, I'm not going to, don't need that top layer at all. To save confusion, I'll just dump that straight in the bin. This layer I'm going to reduce just a touch, and then I'm going to mask in and mask out this darker area here. Accents away, or maybe that's the wine token. Now I've gone the wrong way as usual. Undo. That's better. Reduce this opacity a touch as well. %, down. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah. And obviously we can't throw this into the next phase with hard lines like this. And because I'm looking to mask out, I'm wanting to retain what I've got on the as the blend at the minute, then this background layer needs to go the distance. So I'm just going to use the crop tool, bring that in, and I'm not worried at all about cropping in you know, a small distance like this, because even though I'm using a camera that's 12 megapixels, you know, I haven't got one of these 40 megapixel, 50 megapixel Beamish. For this kind of style photography, you don't need sharpness. You know, you can. I mean, I increase an image I made from a reasonably tight crop. I recently scaled that up so it'll now print and has been printed on a 30 by 20 canvas, and with to no detriment whatsoever of the image, because even if you're looking up close, then those pixels aren't making any issue whatsoever, because it's got such a painterly feel. So here we go. What's going on in chat? Everything's very noisy. David checking in from jolly old Norway. Just proving how good internet is from probably on a ship somewhere in the Arctic region somewhere. Nice to see you, David. Hopefully you've got enough internet to be able to hear us. Right then, so we've got this all cropped down. I think maybe you just need a little bit more, a bit of a lightening in the dark areas. Just use the tone curve to do that, and keep that a bit lighter. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, send this into Analog Effects Pro. Excuse me while I refill the wine bottle. Yeah, I'm thinking this might be a touch slower than what it was in the Google version since the upgrade, or maybe it's just my system's getting a bit full. I did notice my main SSD is beyond full, so that's probably not helping, because swap files will be affecting things. So I think I need to do some manoeuvring around, some clearing up. Just have a look through me presets, which I've decided will be available shortly for anybody wishing to purchase, or a certain tier in Patreon will have them included. There's a special treat of a bottle of red for me, Alistair. Generously given by the next door neighbour for looking after the chickens for a week. And like I said at the top of the show, that I've spent the day pushing my mother around in a wheelchair around Beamish, so I've earned this bottle of red. I'm knackered. Not sure how well some of these are working. Usually with my presets, I can get a feel of either colour or what do you call it? Shape. And you know, like something in there will twig, and I can then, you know, work with it, enhance it, move it around a bit to make it better, but there's nothing really jumping out at the minute. Either that or it's lost half of them that I usually use, which wouldn't be a surprise. I wouldn't recommend chancing it, but when I installed the new version over the top of the old version, it did retain my presets, but I would always recommend backing them up just to be sure, because that's the last thing you want, is for them to all disappear. Ah, commiserations, David. You'll soon be home. Back on the beer. I think I'm gonna have to go for this one. Speed things up. And then the computer decides to go very, very slow. So I'm going to just pretty much leave everything alone and just play with the double exposure. Just maneuver this around, see how it intersects with the image. I can probably look for an upside down placement. Scale it differently. Like I say, I was thinking this may just work as a square crop. I'll change the exposure balance. Brighten it a bit. One of the problems, because in the preset in Lightroom was probably my most vivid preset that I sometimes use. As you can see here, it is extremely bright, red or orange, depending on your screen. What CPU? It is was it an i5 quad core? I think it's getting on for about 7 years old though. So it is due an upgrade. I just need some money for an upgrade. So it is beyond time for an upgrade, to be honest. But live streaming at the same time doesn't help. So you know, it does okay for a while, and then you're thinking load up the streaming software, and you're like, "Way!" It's because it's obviously encoding everything on the fly. So my CPU will be boiling hot by the end of this. It's been nice to see you, David. Look forward to seeing you when you get back. Firing them vlogs out again. I'm determined to get a shot out of this. Or an image out of this, I should say. I don't like this dark brown. Lift that a touch. That's the bloody... I'm thinking that was the start of the tower. That needs to come across. It's very red. Come on, computer, catch up. You are annoying me. Just have that hint of that just in the bottom of the frame there. Take that across. Marginal distances. Lift it a touch. And then you've got to wait for it to render again. But yeah, once I get Patreon all sorted out and the rewards all listed out, then if people are generous, I might be able to upgrade the computer. And then these things will be better. They'll run better. Be able to do more of them. Wouldn't that be lovely for you all? Don't think lens vignette was too good today. Lift that a touch. Move that over there. Just looking to darken. Just want to darken this corner and the rest of here. Exposure. Don't want to move them any further. Film type. I just want to increase the faded look. So I should fade these bright areas and anything too dark. Increase the strength. And then have a look at this. Try to bring the red out of the image a bit because it is quite overbearing. See you, David. Catch you soon. Have a good rest of trip. Putting too much green in the top. The computer's driving me to drink. So slow. Try to add in some yellow generally. See if that's going to make any difference. You move a little bit, you think, well, that looks alright, move it a bit more, but it still hasn't rendered the first movement, and then all of a sudden everything's bright yellow. It'll be quite frustrating. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to cut my losses there. Finish this in Analog Effects Pro and I'm going to throw it into the Visa and just play around with the hue slider just to see if I can get a more pleasing hue out of it. So thank you all for coming along and sharing your evening with me tonight. I'll not keep you too much longer. I was hoping this image would come together easier than this. It seems to be being awkward. I very much appreciate you turning out and watching. Sometimes you sit here and you see just a couple of people watching and you're thinking, is this worth doing? So very much appreciate it. And see, chats are very busy tonight as well. It's great. Videos. Like I say, if you... Hi, Paul. Good to see you, Paul. Yeah, that's the thing. I'll say I didn't want to. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. It's like it's all I'm going to create in front of you. Expand this window. I haven't solved this problem yet of this new version. Yeah, I just want to show that everything's on the fly, how little everything's planned. Sometimes I'll have a rough idea what I want to achieve, and sometimes I just won't. Or sometimes it'll just depend on what the software throws at us. So I'm not trying to cover it up with some super duper things, it's all talent and all this kind of. No, it's just most of it's dumb luck, to be honest. Dumb luck and a few sliders, and a bit of an imagination to actually try to push an image in a certain way. And you can get to a certain point, you're going, actually that looks like such and such, and then you can just go with it and enhance it to that vision. So it's quite good. I like working it that way. Yeah, it's nice to have you along, Paul. I know you're very active on Twitter in regards to my work, so nice to see you in chat here. Nice you've got a chance to drop in live, like I say. Always welcome whenever you can. Now, I think with this, I'm thinking an old painting, a painting that's been out in the light for too long. So I'm gonna knock back the saturation, probably up the brightness. Yeah, if it's a painting done with, say, cheap paints and it's been hanging on a wall for a while, those colours will fade. So that's probably what I'm thinking here, and just keep it loose so it's just an abstract shape. Enhance some yellow, because we all know everything turns yellow when it's older. Bottle of red's the best part of it, Alistair. What is tonight anyway, when the images aren't coming. But this is this is probably because I haven't had a day to go away and think about it, dwell on the images. You've well, had you been here on time, Alistair, you would have seen me going through them all, and then I've basically had a few minutes to assess a group of images and decide what I can throw together to make one. So there's very much I've certainly not done it live where I've brought in images in Lightroom and then then go straight in edit. And usually I'll give myself at least a few hours to maybe go through them a second time and then start building ideas up on certain captures to build on. So this is why maybe this one isn't coming together that strongly. Right, but don't pink in there, that'd be fine. We'll throw this back into Photoshop itself. I am planning on doing a vlog. I'm going to do a video on kind of going on the time time thing, for my last vlog, which was the Dodo Stone Circle one, there's one image on there which was the end result of 7 different edits. You know, I did it once. I was like, I knew for a fact there was an image there, but I had to do seven different versions. All had their own strengths before I got to the final image, and I was like, yeah, I've done it finally. But it's taken me 7 versions, so I'm going to do a video on that, on like my thoughts behind it, and just how much you've got to do to get this image. So I mean, I think this image or something near it may be one of those where I need another 4 or 5 hours doing way more, more layering, more, throwing it in the Analog Effects Pro again 2 or 3 times maybe, and running presets over them until I get something where I'm quite happy. Because at the minute I'm thinking this is just it's a nice start. So yeah, so I think to finish, I'm just going to throw it in Analog Effects Pro one more time and see if that throws anything back out at me that all of a sudden makes it good to me. Thanks again, Paul. Lovely comments. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it going on Lightroom. Like I say, I've got ideas for coming videos. It's just at the minute I'm struggling with being able to video them, because all I've got is a tiny little action cam, which is fine, but presenting wise to it I find really hard. So I am aiming to upgrade equipment at some point in the future. No, what did I? Oh crap! That's just aborted out of the thing. So I'm looking to upgrade to a proper DSLR that does video, because my D700 doesn't have video, so I can do more presenty style videos. So hopefully quality will get better as well. My stuttering and stammering might not get any better, but at least the presentation might be a bit better. So yeah, I just love showing all this. Basically, just killing a myth. Well, not a myth, but just showing that it's a lot of it isn't planned. It's just how I work is just, let's have a go at this, let's have a go at this, let's have a go at this, let's layer this in again and again and again, and that's how you end up with finished images. So, right, Andy, try not to press enter this time, which makes it save the image. Time is kicking on, so I just want to get this done sharpish. Quick look down my presets, and I think if any of you know, I was going to say it's definitely by Turner, obviously, because you're talking about me. I don't know if it's not a boat between headlands. There's a one. I think it's whether it's a lock in Scotland or something. But basically, there's a big lump of land on the left-hand side, and I'm thinking that this may have a resemblance to it, maybe, but we'll see when it takes an hour to render it. So maybe if I lighten this area up, it's got a nicer colour. Enjoying that yellow. Turn the brightness up. Turn the contrast up. Another swig of red. Knock off the curves.
Need some curves. And we need some brightness at the top end. I do love using curves. You can control things very well. We're going to add a little bit of red. Bring that back down here. Mainly at the bottom end. Sometimes I'm waiting on the computer to render it, and it's already done it, but just the changes were so minuscule. A bit more fadiness to that. I'll bring the saturation down a touch. And to me, this has now gone from being that church in the museum in front of that Georgian hall to, when I save it and send it back into Photoshop and crop it, it now becomes a bit like a building on it, almost like a tower on the top of a hill. There's a tower or something in Game of Thrones, isn't there? Where back in Legend, or the early days of Ned Stark, where, not Daenerys, Jon Snow was born. I think there's a scene of a tower in Spain. Or they shot it in Spain. I don't know. There's probably a name for this tower where Lyanna Stark's given birth. I barely ever watch Game of Thrones, but you know what's. Hopefully, you know what I mean. I'll just save that. Chuck this back in Lightroom. Well, there's a quite a square-looking tower. So to me, I've got that feeling, but about this image. You know, this tower on the top of a hill, and whether it be a sea or a misty valley behind. 45%. Come on, hurry up. I am Paul. Yes, I bought the new Nik Collection, and as I said just previously before you come in there, it is exactly the same. And yeah, at the end of the broadcast, if you want to rewind a little bit, then I can, you'll get my view on it. But basically, if it works for you already, there's no point upgrading unless you want to save yourself 20 quid. I think at the end of the month it's going to go up to £59 or $69 or whatever it is. So my thoughts are, if it works for you and you've got plenty of money, then you don't need to get it yet, because there's nothing new. Or like if it's broken on your system, then yeah, it's worth getting, but at the minute it's not. Right then, so we'll send this back into Lightroom. So this semi-finished image, and we're gonna crop off this stay on the. See, all my Lightroom settings are all broken. I think we'll go for something like that. I was just trying to crop this tree out. Oh, now a lump of what it is. And now we're just looking at kind of abstract shapes with a bit of imagination. You can start creating your own scene from. Only if you'd seen us work through the entire image, start to finish, then will you know that that's a church. And to me now, it looks like the tower on the top of a hill. And to Alistair, it looks like Norham Castle. So it's all about, you've got to use your imagination. I think to do this kind of stuff, I think you've got to have an imagination to start with. I think it's maybe where some of the, this sounds terrible, where some of the landscapers don't have that much of imagination. They see the scene in front of them, compose it beautifully, capture it beautifully, but all they're doing is just taking the shot in front of them. I'd rather let my mind get a bit more creative. You know, my mother's always said I'm a bit of a dreamer or daydreamer, so just proving her right. So yeah, I think I've kept you all long enough. So it's been wonderful to have you along for this bloody hell an hour and a half. But if you've seen it right from the start, or if you've gone back and watched the start, if you've been here at the end, then you'll have seen me going through all 359 images I made today. Oh, the data that I captured today. Gone through and picked out ones that have got potential, and threw in a batch together and made this image. Where is it? That image. Made that image right here in front of you. So hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. I am here every Tuesday, 7:30 UK time, for more of the same. Lord knows what we'll be looking at next week, but hopefully I'll have left the house again between here and then. We may be looking at more images from Beamish today. We may be looking at images of poppies from last weekend. I may shoot something completely different between now and next Tuesday. So if you have enjoyed this episode, do leave a thumbs up on the doodle down below. If you're not already, please do subscribe and share it around. It'd be lovely to have more eyes on. It's all about YouTube's all about being watched these days. So it'd be great to have as many eyes on as possible. So share it around your friends and your fellow photographers. If anybody's curious about other types of photography that's not, your bog standard landscapes. So yeah, if you haven't already seen it, I have a new vlog up that I uploaded the weekend from Dodo Stone Circle. Do check that out if you haven't seen it already, and if you enjoy that one, do leave a thumbs up, and again, do subscribe. Anybody else that's interested, I've said this for about 5 weeks now, I will be launching my Patreon soon. I have a list of rewards now written out on paper, which I just need to type up and put on and launch. So if you feel like helping me with that, that'd be great. There'll be tiered rewards from everything from just support, so where you get access to exclusive feeds. I'll be mainly doing behind the scenes stuff, and right the way through up to a tier where it'll be commission. I'll be working on commissions for you, and a lower tier than that, where I'd be offering free prints every month, that kind of thing. So they'll be up, fingers crossed, by the weekend. I've just got to find some time to actually get those all typed up and write a proper intro and do various other bits and pieces for that. So that's coming up soon. But if you want to visit it now and get in on the lowest thing, the lowest ones already up there and live, it's that address there, patreon.com/AndrewSGray. I will be filling it in shortly. But yeah, if you want to get on board now, then do jump on. That would be wonderful and will help me out enormously. And one day, if I get enough Patreon support, I may get a computer that's even fast enough to do this better. So yeah, so that'd be great. Thank you all for very, very much for coming along. It's been a cracking episode tonight. Any final messages? Enjoy your holiday, Alan. Enjoy, where was it? The Dolomites you're going to, you lucky bugger. Thank you very much, Recurve Lady. Thank you for coming. You'll have to tell us your first name so we all like to be friends here. Thanks for watching, Anders. You've been here from the very start. Credit to you. You must have nothing else to do tonight. Thank you all for coming along. Paul, it's been great to have you along as well. Thanks for the support on Twitter. Every other Twitter message I come on, Paul's always there with a comment. It's brilliant. So thank you all very much for coming along, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday night edits, 7:30 UK time, and we'll see you then. See ya.